Got it. Okay. So first of all, really thank you, Ms. Lakshmi and Mr. Briga, for providing an opportunity. And it was a really, again, thank you for a very, very good introduction and welcome note for me. I don't deserve it, but really great thank for you to providing an opportunity. Today's topic is a very interesting topic, a dry kind of topic. I'm going to share the slide and then we'll quickly start with this. So the topic today is, just let me know if you can see my slide. If you can see the first slide.
Yes, doctor, we can see.
Okay, that's good. So today's topic is a very important topic. Again, I said kind of dry. Why I said kind of dry? Because there are not too many of visual illustration in this slide. A lot of text over there. I try to keep this very simple and basic, so that you can grasp the basic knowledge from the exam point of view, first of all, of CIC, and if anyone else who's trying to learn from other than CIC, they can also learn from this discussion today. We'll be covering three topics today: statistical process control, and after that, the second section of the discussion will be on run charts, and third section of the debate today will be on control charts. We'll be covering the basic concepts of all three topics, and I'll try to help you with the interpretation of the run charts and control charts from the basic analysis point of view. And definitely there are some key points which will be covering the exam, of CIC, CPHQ, and any other statistical exam if you are trying to appear in future. So this will also help you, and some of you will have recall your knowledge. So let's start with this. The first basic definition. Let me just remind myself. Okay. So statistical process control, which is a method of quality control by measuring and monitoring different processes. It uses by different industries, like mainly, first of all, as we are from the healthcare background, so it definitely being used by almost all of the accredited and non-accredited healthcare organizations, hospitals, clinics, long-term care units, nursing homes, hospice, home health units. So it has been used by various entities of healthcare, and then widely used by automobile industry. I will give you a brief on that also. Statistical process control is a methodology where you collect the data using the attribute and variables. And then various processes, we try to collect data, and then we try to convert this data into an information, and then we try to make a valid informed decisions on basis of the data. So the whole idea of using statistical process control is to reduce variation. Reduce variation is the main terminology which has been used widely for control charts, but actually we are trying to control variation by using all kind of tools. The whole idea is to improve the quality of processes by reducing variation, and then it can be used in a different term by using a different terminologies in a different ways. But our concept and our basic goal is to reduce and minimize the variation by using statistical process control. So what is the history of this? Dr. William Shewhart, he developed control chart actually in 1924 at the Bell Laboratory, and he wrote a book on this also, statistical method of viewpoint of quality control, which is one of the very famous book. And then this control charts has been used in World War II, and later on it was taken by Japanese manufacturer, as I said earlier, for automobile industry, and then adopted by many industries, and they revolutionized a lot of things using these controls. Now, in the word statistical process control, there are three in this topic. There are three words in this: statistical, process, and control. So we'll try to understand every single word as an individual word. So statistical Statistical mean, statistical tools we use to predict the process outcome of the process. And it's a science which uses the data collection, summarization of this data, analyzation, and then we try to draw information from this data. So this is basically a statistics terminology which been used to convert data into an information. And why do we do that? To get some information from our processes. Now, process itself, what is process? Process is an input, which we put in from different sources to get a desired outcome. This is a simple definition of a process. So, and it requires and it involves man, machines, material, methods, environment, and the management working together to get a desired outcome. So this process requires a lot of things to get a desired outcome from the different sources of input. And what is control? Control is basically means an ensuring that the product or the service which we are trying to give is meeting or exceeding the desired level of quality. That is what control, basically, the definition of control is. So that we use statistics to improve our processes to get control over the service which we are trying to provide. This is what actually the concept of statistical process control, right? Now, why we use that? The main and basic goal is in our industry is to achieve patient safety. That this is the whole game of statistical process control. We are doing it to achieve patient safety mainly. Basic goal is this. Then definitely employee safety, facility safety, environmental safety, a lot of things are there. Our basic goal is to provide patient safety, and then it's an umbrella term where then a lot of factors that comes in, and then a lot of basic goals are there, and then we have different objectives to achieve this goal. Now, at the same time, as I said, apart from this, most of the organization, they focus mainly on cost, and they focus on time, to carry out the process. So basic goal is to cut down the cost and cut down the time to achieve this goal. So basically, this takes us towards the lean management protocols. So this is another use of it, widely used across healthcare organization. And then it's a continuous activity which we have to do. Statistical process control never ends by any means or by any definition. So once you start any process, you have to keep on monitoring and keep on evaluating and keep on analyzing your processes and the trends which you are getting on that. So statistical process controls, basically helps you to have a and helps the organization to take up prevention-based quality controls, not to be used, these statistical process control as a detection-based quality controls, which actually most of the organizations are using it, and they are failing in providing safer healthcare or achieving their goals, or if there is any other scope for which they are trying to use the statistical process control. If they are not using it for the prevention-based concept, then they are not achieving their goals. This is history. So many books has been written on that. If you try to find out, learn from those experiences, you will find out that whoever has used statistical process controls for the wrong purposes other than the prevention-based quality controls, they could not have been able to achieve their goals. This is very clearly written in most of the books which I have read so far. So the right intention is very important when you are using them, and then to be a correct tool to be used for the correct process is very important, so that you can achieve your goals. That's another idea. Most of the statistical tools are being used wrongly at the wrong time. So people try to do a lot of projects, but they are unable to get the desired outcomes from those projects. So why? Because they are not completely aware about the tool which they are using it. What is the actual purpose for using that tool? So that's why the basic understanding why what is the process, who are the stakeholders of the process, who will be involved in this processes, and then who will be providing us the information, and what tool to be used for which purpose, which will give you an evidence-based, outcome, and then you will be able to take an evidence-based decision for the desired outcome. So if you are not connecting the dots correctly, then you will not be able to get an idea which tool to be used for which process, and then you will never be able to achieve your goals. Now, where to use, as I just have explained it to you. Basically, wherever you have unnecessary waste and you wanted to have a lean approach, if it is required and mandatory, then you have to use a statistical control. What is waste actually? Any rework? There are so many concepts, Japanese concepts on that. I don't want to go into that topic, otherwise, we'll be diverted from that. So I wanted to keep it very simple. The examples of waste in our common language or terminologies is a rework, unnecessary consumable and disposable usage, reinspection time. These are some of the examples of waste, which I'm sure, and there is a long list of waste, examples of waste which you can think of in your daily life. So basic idea, we have to minimize the waste so that we can have a lean process, and then we'll try to achieve our desired outcome. Now, we implement these statistical control tools to monitor critical characteristics of the desired processes. Now, for this desired processes, we have to have a cross-functional team. In other words, in our terminology, we call them as a multidisciplinary teams, which identifies the critical characteristics of the processes. So that's why it's very important, as I said, which tool to be used, who will be the part of this process, stakeholders, all these members, all these factors are very critical for you to identify which tool to be used for which process. Now, this is what the basic idea of statistical process chart and statistical process chart, and why we have to use it, how we have to use it, where we have to use it, what are the benefits of this. This is the basic idea of statistical process controls. Now, as I said, there is a long list of tools. There are so many. There are a few basic 7 tools of quality implementation, Ishikawa, and then there are some other advanced level of tools. But today, our focus will be on two charts. One is the run chart, and another one will be the control chart. Right. So let's move on to the next section of the topic of the discussion today is the run chart. Now, what is run chart? Run chart is a tool which is used for visualizing data over time. This is a exam question, by the way. This first line is an exam question. They will try to trick you by different terminologies. They will try to trick you by using different words, different languages. But the answer is always the same. Run chart is used to visualize data over time. Right? You always have to plot the graph in a chronological order to monitor the progress of the process to achieve the desired outcome. And this run charts gives you trends, shifts, or patterns. This is a simple chart, which I'll show you in next few slides, which just gives you the idea where your process is going. Is it improving? Is it not improving? It shows you different types of shifts, pattern, and it also identifies astronomical data points. If there is any outliers, that also can be identified by using the run charts. Simple Excel, Microsoft Excel is used for collection of this data and to create this chart and a graph, which you can do easily by using any type of Microsoft application. And this helps you to make a data-driven decision very easily within a span of a few weeks to months time, and it does not take a very advanced level of knowledge. It's a very basic tool, simple data collection method, and then you just put that data into the graph using an Excel sheet, and it will show you the trends. Now, how to prepare this run chart? This is also very important. First, you have to obtain data points, and then draw a chart in the vertical and horizontal axis. There will be a y-axis where you will put the values like I put an example of percentage of birth C-sections or number of days, appointments, any kind of things. And then x-axis, you will put the unit of time, sequence of any kind of things which you are intending to collect. Now, axis scale, how you will determine it: 20% larger than the largest value and 20% smaller than the smallest value, which you have to decide, and then label the axis in between intervals between these two numbers. If you have 40, put up to 60. If you have lower limit of 20, then you keep it 0, and then between that you label different axes. Now next, after plotting, you have to put a data values in a chronological order, and then draw a line to connect all these dots. And then you have to put a median. And what is median? Median is a point on the y-axis, which I'll show you in the next few slides. And then the chart, just put a any definition of useful title for the chart, and your chart will be ready. How? Now, this is what I mean to say. This is a graphical on Excel sheet. Your data will look like this. You put the dates, you put the values which you are getting it. Median you have decided based on the values which you're getting, and what is your target. So you can see on my right side of the screen, the goal you have marked with the dotted line green. Median you have decided with the data which you have received, and then different data points, data sets you have it, and then just put a connects. X-axis you can see over here, and y-axis has been seen on the left side of this chart. So this is how it will look like once you follow the steps, and you will use the Excel sheet to put up the data, set your values, set your goals, and then just put them on the graph, and then you will get it, and it will show you the trends. Now, sorry, pardon. Now, this is very simple. You can easily make a graph by using these steps. How to interpret this? This is a next challenge. Now, once you have a graph, you put the baseline, and after plotting the baseline, you will get the graph. You have decided that this is the baseline process which you had it. Now you have gone for improvement, that you found out that there is an improvement required. So you will extend your central line, and you will begin to test your change. So after begin you change, you start plotting the data after the change point, and then you will apply the rules on the run chart. From there, you will start, redirect or redraw your median based on the new data set which you are getting it, so that you can compare the both old process and the new process and the trends which you are having right now. Now, how to interpret? Now, you can see that there are two different types of rules in run charts. One tells you the shift, one tells you trends. Then there's a number of runs, how many number of runs below the median and above the median, and then astronomical data points. These are the four information you get it from rules, from these rules. Then there is a different set of rules. You can get it more than 8 points above median, more below. You can see some of the example, 6 points below the median, 6 points below the median after the data points, in the continuous trends, either ascending or descending orders. Now, counting run, what are the counting run? Run is a sequence of consecutive points which all lie on the same side. So you can see 8 points together, we call it counting run. 6 points below the median will be called as counting run. So this is what a counting run, and this is how you have to label them. Okay, and next, the rules of the run chart. This is one of the important thing which you have to understand, how to plot it, and what are the different types of labeling methods of run chart. Now, how to understand the rules. So rules of the run charts in the quality is a quality control tool which you use to identify the trends and the patterns over the period of time. So now there are 4 rules basically. 1 point fall below or above the median line, which may requires the corrective actions. If you have any in this, let's say if you have any 1 point which is below the median, it can require an action plan which you have to decide whether you have to go for it or not. And you have to study the whole pattern of or trend of the process. If there are 2 out of 3 consecutive points fall on the same side of the median, then this requires attention. right? Read between the lines. This requires attention. If you have 4 out of 5 consecutive points fall on the same side of the median, this means a major shift. If you have 5 points, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see on the right side of the chart, if you have 5 points below the median, then it will be called as a major shift, and definitely you have to do something for that. So it's showing you that there is a major impact, either improving or not improving, and what you need to decide about it, whether you want to continue with it or not continue with it. 8 consecutive points fall on the same side of the median. This means the process is out of control. You need to set a new criteria for monitoring the process. Either it's improving or not improving. If it is on the positive side or a negative side, you need to decide how you will define your data sets, how you will continue with the process. So if 8 consecutive points falling on the same side, then this means the process is out of control. You are either improving a lot and you have to decide what to do with that, or you are not at all improving and you need to decide what to do with that. So these are the basic rules which you can have in your exam also. And without having the knowledge of these rules for using the run chart, you will not get any outcome after using these run charts. So you need to have a clarity on these rules to make an informed and data-driven decisions. Otherwise, it will be of no use, right? So this is as simple as that. The basic chart. Just get an Excel sheet, define your outcomes, put your data on that, get your data points, decide your goals, get the median, put them on the Excel sheet, connect the dots, get the trend. And after getting the trend, apply the rules and see where your process is going. And these are the 4 basic rules which you have to memorize, or you don't have to memorize. Just print this, put it on a wall in front of you. Whenever you are using a run chart, try to apply these rules and find out whether process is in control or out of control. Okay. Now, last topic of the day is control chart. What is control chart? Control chart, again, is a graphical tool which you use to monitor changes or variation, as I said in the beginning, of the process over time. It's a statistical tool which helps you determine whether a process is in a state of statistical control or not. This helps organization to improve the processes and reduce waste and defects. Purpose is same, but it gives you actually the variation over time. Now, sorry, control chart rules and interpretation, rules pattern interpretation actually helps you to identify the common cause and special cause variation. And there are 8 rules, unlike run chart, where there are 4 rules which you have to use to identify whether the process is in control or not in control. Here, you will identify the common cause and special cause variation, and then you have to apply 8 rules, which we will discuss in the next few slides. Now, Dr. Walter Schwartz, he defined these variation initially, and he named them as a chance variation, or assignable or uncontrolled variations. Later, Dr. Deming, he gave them another name, chance to common cause variation, and assignable or uncontrolled variation to special cause variations. Now we'll understand this. Now, another concept which you have to understand before we move on to control chart is that on the control chart, there are different zones, zone A, B, C. And there is upper control limit, there is lower control limits, and then there is a central line, which you have to use to monitor your data. Now, this is the basic concept of control chart. You can see on the top, you have upper control limit, you have central line, you have lower control limit. Zone A means 3 sigma plus a zone or minus. Zone B, 2 sigma plus minus, and zone C means 1 sigma plus minus. So these are the zones and other labels of the graph, which helps you in interpreting it. Now you can see after plotting a control chart, it will look like this. Upper control limit, lower control limit. You can see one astronomical data point which shows an outlier in the process, which is a special cause, which requires your attention. And then you can see a different data points on around the zone A and zone B, 1 sigma and 2 sigma sigma zones. Now, how to interpret this chart? You label it, you know how to draw this chart. The rule is same. You label this chart, you collect the data points, you connect the dots, and you get this chart. Now, what are the rules? There are 8 rules, as I said in the beginning. And those rules are very clear, and these rules are used to identify special cause variation. The only purpose of using these 8 rules is to identify special cause variation. If you have 1 point, 1 or more point more than 3 sigma from the central line, you can see 3 sigma from the central line, as you can see in the red dot is over the upper control limit. This means this requires attention, and this is special cause, right? This is because of any special cause. So if 1 or more point more than 3 sigma, again, for the aspirants, CIC aspirants or any other exam aspirants, these 8 points are very important and can be asked, in exam. They will give you any out of this 8 rules, and they will question you whether this requires special cause, this is a special cause, requires RCA, requires any kind of data-driven decisions or not. You know what I mean? So you need to memorize these 8 rules for the sake of exam. By the way, you don't have to memorize this, just print it, keep it in front of you. Whenever you are using control charts, try to apply these rules to decide whether this is a special, this trend is because of a special rule or not. So you have to take a decision based on your trends. So first is 1 or more points more than 3 sigma from the central line. Other one is 7 points in a row on the same side of the center. Now you can see rule 1, 2, 3. So rule 2, you can see 7 points on the same side of the central line, means this is because of, you can see my arrow, rule 2 is because of special cause, right? Rule 3, 6 points in a row, increasing or decreasing steadily. You can see rule 3, 6 points increasing or decreasing steadily. Rule 4, 14 point continuously alternating up and down. Rule 4, 14 points continuously alternating up and down. So if there are 14 points continuously alternating up and down, this means this is an special cause. So you need to find out what is happening in this process. Fifth is 2 out of 3 consecutive points more than 2 sigma from the central line on the same side. You can see rule number 5, 3 sigma points in more than 2 sigma is a special because of special cause, and you need to do something about it. Rule 6, 4 out of 5 consecutive points more than 1 sigma limit from the central line on the same side. From the 1 sigma limit, same side, 6, rule 6, it's because of special cause and you need to do something about it. Rule 7, 15 points in a row within 1 sigma from the central line either side. Rule 7. Is it clear? And this is because of special cause. Then last rule, a run of 8 consecutive points more than 1 sigma from the central line either side. 8 consecutive point more than 1 sigma either side is just because of special cause, and you need to do something about it. This is not normal, right? This is not because of the common cause. Now, summary of control chart. It's very difficult to actually list out all the possible causes. So you have to understand each single process and pattern, what is happening, why it is happening, what are the trends, what does this trend tells you, what are the special causes which is affecting or dependent on these type of processes. And there are different kind of tools we are using for different processes. So you need to identify which service is this related to. The main difference between the run charts and the control charts is this, that it gives you the main purpose they are serving. So the difference basically in both of them is the main purpose they serve in quality for. This is the main purpose for these two charts. Run charts is generally used, as I said, to show trends, data over time, and it helps you to identify patterns and or shifts which may be occurring, and it helps you to understand the existing status of the processes to visualize the performance of the single variable. Control charts, on the other hand, are more elaborated and used to show statistical process or variation in the process over time. So run chart gives you the trends over in data over time, trends, and control charts give you the statistical variation in a process over time. This is the basic differences between them. The visual depiction of acceptable ranges of variation is an output, whether or not the process variation is in control. The control charts can provide more insight into identifying weakness, trends, and outlier in the process, which lies outside the acceptable range of variations. So in short, run charts is to identify trends, and control chart are being used to identify variation. So this is basically different looks of these two charts. Now I hope you can simply understand how run chart will look like in exam. If you have this picture, you will be able to understand. You have different data sets with the median around them. It's a run chart. There are no other zones. There are no control limit, upper control or lower control limits. It's a simple run chart for you. And then on the other side, you have control chart with upper control limit, lower control limit, with the central line, different data sets. And then based on the question, it will be easier for you to understand. Now, the whole concept which we try to put focus today is how to plot these graphs and how to interpret these graphs by using the rules. So rules are very important. If you don't know the rules using these controls, then you will not be able to get anything out of it. So that's all from my side. Again, now, if you have any questions, I'll be very obliged, and feel free to ask me. Yes, Ms. Lakshmi.
Dr. Saad,
Ms. Lakshmi, I really want to apologize before we move on. It's a very dry topic. As I said, I try to keep it more interactive, but these kind of topic doesn't allow you to be more interactive without just presenting it in one go. And slides are very dry. I apologize for that.
No, that was very insightful, Doctor. Really, it's very nice. We know that these concepts are very vast and it requires like many sessions. It cannot be covered in an hour. So for the group,
this is the very bare minimum information which I could be able to concise as per the request of the academy. So I just try to limit myself for between the concepts of interpretation and basic definitions of these charts.
So just one question from my side, Doctor. So in control charts, when we fix the upper control limit and lower control limit, how do we decide on that? Like, is it based on any set standard, or how do we decide that upper control and lower control limits?
No, basically you need to understand, you need to decide which process you are using. And then you need to you will get the idea about the different types of controls which you are using, what is the extent of your process. Like, let's say if you are using a time reception time, for example, if your one existing process is taking 15 minutes, right? And you need to study the as is process first. What is happening at the reception? What is the minimum time one patient is taking? What is the maximum time right now one patient is taking? And what are your goals? You want to reduce this time to what, right? To 1 minute and maximum to 15 minutes, let's say. So you need to put your upper controls and lower control based on that. So first you need to get the as is process, and you need to understand the ongoing process. How much time is it taking? I'm just giving you one example for the reception, the registration time at the reception. So one patient takes 1 minute, and there is another patient out of 50 patients, which took 15 minutes. So you have the lowest limit and the highest limit, let's say. So you start collecting on as is, and then you have, as a team, you decided that we want to minimize this time and we want to bring this 15 minutes to 10 minutes, right? You have the lowest time and you have the highest time available. So just put the plot data sets on that on as is process, and then try to understand the process, improve the process using the same limits, and then to see what is happening. New process is improving or not improving. This is humanly possible to get the registration done in 10 minutes or not. You will be able to understand it, and then this will helps you to plot the graphs and get the trends. So this is how as is will give you the limits.
Okay.
And then from there you need to further decide what is your goal based on your existing processes.
Okay. Any questions from the group? Please open your mic, or you can even ask it in the chat box. I can read for doctor. No questions? Okay, so thank you so much for your time, doctor, and also for the team members. I have sent the evaluation form in the chat box. Please complete it, because we also need to know what is good and what is bad, what is the area to improve, especially now this is statistical class. So we'll see how far this class has gotten to us, and we want to know your feedback. Please complete the form, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much for your lecture today. It was amazing. And the group members wants the slides to be shared. If you can share it in the IPQ Academy group.
Definitely it will be shared.
Yeah.
Then they can have it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lakshmi. Thank you, Ms. Tabrika. Thank you, all the participants.
Thanks. Please complete the evaluation form. Thank you.